Hello, friend. Welcome back to Health Habits and Epic Living. I'm so excited you are here. And when this podcast drops, guess what? My Halloween party that is so epic every year is going to be this weekend. I am super excited about it, getting ready for it. So much fun. So, since I mentioned last week on the podcast that I will be taking a break from this podcast, I just wanted you not to worry because some of you have wrote to me or messaged me about my coaching programs, and those will stay, my friend. Those will definitely stay. It's just a little bit of a hiatus from the podcast. And again, I'll be talking about that a little bit later. But don't worry, my one-on-one coaching programs are still available. I take a few women each quarter and we work on goals that are important to them, mostly around health, sometimes around their mental health. I still also offer one-off calls with me. I call these my consult calls, where I help women really get clarity around a goal where they're struggling. Maybe they are looking for motivation or looking at different ways to get unstuck. And so I help them put together clarity, but not only that, just a plan so that they can start moving in the direction they want to be moving. And I also have the Drink Less Lifestyle. That is my signature program. That is not going anywhere. I am in love with that program, so proud of that program. And that program has really helped a lot of women and men conquer their drinking because I've made it an online course that you can sign up for. It doesn't come with coaching from me, but it comes with the videos, the worksheets, the things that you will be working on in order to overcome and cut back so that you can live a permanent drink less lifestyle. So that is also available for men and women. And I did that so men who were like, hey, I need support. I want to learn from you. These tools are resonating with me. They're starting to work and I want to learn more. So I made that program on my website so anyone can sign up. And then, of course, I have Epic You. That's where you can get coaching from me. It's my community of women who are looking to not only overcome their relationship with alcohol and change it, but also, as you know, my philosophy, it's not about the alcohol, really looking at how we can make your life better. So that could be looking at relationships that you feel are holding you back, and then you want to drink for that because it's a painful point and you're numbing from that pain, or whatever it is that's holding you back from really stepping into the version of you want to be around alcohol. So that is Epic You. That is my monthly membership that's only available for women. And we have live calls. That is also available. And then lastly, my Tone N10 program, which is really women's overall health, as we talked about already on the podcast, and particularly focusing on weight loss. A lot of women in that program, not only do they want to increase their muscle strength, but they're also wanting to be active later in life. And that means developing healthy habits around taking care of their body now. And many are interested in losing weight. So we do focus on all of those areas inside Tone N10. That's a 10-week program. And again, that's staying. And actually, many more people are starting to join because it's the holidays and everybody's worried, right? We don't want to develop bad habits or put on weight. We really want to be preventative. We really want to take care of our health and think about this time of year particularly. So we are enrolling all the time inside Tone N10. I just used to launch it in the past, but now it's forever who wants to join. You can sign up at any time and you just work through the modules that are released each week so that you know exactly what you're focusing on. And then you come to the calls for support. We all need support. We are meant for community. And that's why I love doing community work with the women, because we learn from each other. We grow from each other. We understand each other. A lot of times people dealing with emotional eating or dealing with, I don't know why I'm eating, or I just don't know what to eat. I'm so confused, right? So we want to be there as a community to support you where you are at and what you need. It may be a knowledge deficit. It may be an action deficit, right? And how can we work on that so that you can achieve your goals? So passionate about that program. And really, it's designed for women over 40 because we talk about the hormonal shifts. We talk about what's going on inside the body and how to combat that, how to do changes so that we can meet our body's needs because our body is changing. And if our body's needs are changing, then it requires us to meet those needs. And so what are those needs? And so we talk about those a lot. So I just wanted to let you know those are all going to stay. They're not going anywhere. And then, of course, if you still want to be part of my community, you can join my free private Facebook group, which is called Health Habits and Epic Living. And I'll be showing up a little bit more in that group now that the podcast will be kind of ending. And so helping women, I really want to be engaging with women, right? On the podcast, it's great to be here with you. It's great to deliver information, but it's not really an engagement platform. And so I really want to engage with you because it's really about taking action is where you get traction, right? That's my philosophy. You got to take the action to get the traction. And sometimes just passively listening to something is not going to be enough for you to take the action. So I want to engage and I want to be in community with women. And so in that private Facebook group, I'm able to do that. All right. So for today, I want to dive into 3 steps for making a habit. Sounds so easy, right? Oh, you just, start a habit, right? But I really want to talk about the 3, and I consider these key steps to having a habit, developing a habit. And so let's dive into those. So the first step, sometimes it can be the hardest. Sometimes I feel when I work with women, this step can be the biggest barrier for their success. And that is getting started. Of course, to have a habit, you have to get started and really think about how you do that, right? Getting started, that 0% to 1% for so many people is the hardest step. It's like, I know once I get started, I will keep going, right? Or I'll be motivated to keep going, or I'll build momentum to keep going. But gosh, I'm just not getting started. I keep putting it off. I keep saying tomorrow. I'll exercise tomorrow. I'll start eating healthy tomorrow. I'll care more about my weight tomorrow. I'll worry about my drinking tomorrow, right? And then tomorrow becomes tomorrow, and it never comes. And time just eludes and just keeps going. So rip the Band-Aid off, my friend. Get out there and get started, right? Just get started. Just do it one time. If you can't even imagine keeping it going, right? Like I couldn't imagine keeping this podcast going as long as I have. I'm currently in year 4, right? Just finishing year 4. Like that's amazing, right? I don't know when I started this, how long it would go, but I just kept saying, just do the next podcast. Just do the next podcast. Let's do the next podcast. And here we are 4 years later, right? I had to just get started. And once I get started, I kept going, right? So you got to freaking start, my friend. And I'm telling you this from a place of love because you're just going to get frustrated and stay angry and stay disappointed and just give yourself all this, the land of the hard knocks. Like, I'm not doing it. I'm not enough. I don't know why I don't get it done. Like just that mental anguish is something I don't want you to carry around. You can put down that cross anytime you want, right? Just get started. So stop waiting for the right time. Stop waiting for the right mood to show up. Stop waiting for these outside factors that you think are going to come along magically and influence you and motivate you. You gotta just start. You don't have to be motivated to start. You just gotta start. And I think really some of you need to hear this because you're waiting for the perfect moment. You're waiting till your calendar has more space. You're waiting for the weather to change. You're waiting for whatever. You're waiting for change outside of you. And some of you are waiting for change inside of you, right? Waiting for your mood to shift on it. You just got to start and start now. Stop putting it off. Stop waiting for the clock. Stop waiting on the calendar. Stop waiting for the perfect day, the perfect moment, till you're motivated, till your finances are in order, till your kids are back at school, till the kids are on break, right? Just stop. Stop waiting. Stop making the excuses. Stop listening to the excuses. Make them all you want, but don't listen to them, right? Really catch yourself. Catch yourself out of love, not out of penalty, not out of, oh my gosh, start doing this. When are you going to start doing this, right? No, out of love, like out of care for yourself. So many women have fear of getting started, fear of not keeping it going, fear of success. Well, what if I get there and I'm not happy? Oh my gosh, right? I've heard that one. Like, wow, I think I want this goal, but what if I get there and I'm really not happier? And maybe you won't be. And maybe that's not the point of getting the goal, is for greater happiness. It could be for greater health. It could be greater energy. We don't know if you're going to be happier. And there's no way to predict that ahead of time. So some people are afraid of being successful. Some people are afraid of falling off the wagon again. Some people are just scared of failure, right? And how do we know? We can't predict the future. The brain wants to predict the future, but the brain can't predict the future. You know what the brain can do? It can do an action. The brain can get you to take action. Are you working on that part? Because that's the part that really is the important part. Not what's happening 3 weeks from now, not what's happening 5 months from now, what's happening today. And if you could get really skilled at that, just think about that. If you could get really skilled at how I manage my current day, that's all you need. Because then what do you do when you get up the next day? The same thing that you did the day before. And so just start, because if you don't start, fear becomes even more and more paralyzing and more debilitating. And then you just feel so stuck. And then you get a year later, 2 years later, 3 years later, 4 years later, without that result, without even going after it, without even trying. And then you have regrets. And then you get to the end of your life and say, gosh, I should have done things differently so long ago. And that's what I want to help you prevent, right? We don't have to have regrets. We have freedom of choice and to choose to do something different now. So get started, right? So the first rule is just to get started. It doesn't have to look perfect. It doesn't have to be your personal best. It doesn't have to look like you got all the I's dotted and all the T's crossed. You just got to start. So just stick a pole in the sand, or however they say it. I always mess up cliches. My husband's always laughing at me, right? Draw a line in the sand. I think that's what I meant. And just declare, I'm starting now. I'm done with my excuses. I'm done with giving up. I'm done with this fear. I'm conquering it now. Now, use that power to just start, my friend. And some of you may want to bookmark this podcast and come back to it when you need to hear, if I'm a motivating voice in your life, if you need to hear that, you need to hear that, hey, I am for you. I am for your greatness. I am for what you want to accomplish in your life for your good. And I want you to be for you and for your good. So just start. Just start. No more excuses. Rip the Band-Aid off. Go do it. If you don't make a 45-minute effort at the gym, great. Be thankful for the 30 minutes. Be thankful for the 15 minutes. Be thankful you went. Be thankful for what you did, not what you didn't do. So now let's move on to the second piece. Once you get started, once you start taking action, then the next step is obviously to keep taking action, to be consistent. So it's like, okay, I'm showing up today for myself and I'm going to show up tomorrow for myself, or whatever your cadence is. Whatever your frequency is, right? You continue that process, consistency. So some of people, they're great at getting started. They love that. They love the energy. They love the excitement. They're hungry for their goal. They're excited by their goal. They're like, yes, I want to lose 10 pounds. I want to lose 20 pounds. I want to have better cholesterol. I want to come off these blood pressure medicines, right? Whatever it is, I want better health. I want to fit in these clothes, or I want to drop a dress size, whatever it is. They get excited. And so they get started, right? And that is wonderful that they get started. Beautiful. That's awesome. Help those people that have a challenge going from 0% to 1%, right? Because you want to be excited for the transformation. You want to be excited about who you're becoming. And you want to be excited about having the life that you want and the health that you want. And so maybe you don't struggle with getting started, but you struggle with the consistency. And so to be consistent means you show up for yourself as you committed to, as you planned to. Now, here's the thing. Some people will say, I have a hard time being consistent. And then when we talk about why they have a hard time being consistent, well, I just don't see it happening that I'm getting my goal quick enough. I just don't see it happening that this is going to work towards my goal. I just don't see how one day is important. Well, you know how you can get over that, my friend? I'll tell you. Here's a great mind Jedi trick. Be consistent for the sake of being consistent. I have said this and coached clients around this, and they're like, whoa, you're right. Maybe I can just be consistent for the sake of being consistent, right? It's not, did I achieve the goal already? Am I there yet? Am I there yet? Am I there yet? You're like a toddler in the backseat of a car. Am I there yet? Are we there yet? How much longer? Are we there yet? How much longer? If you're a parent and you've heard that, you just want to reach in the backseat and choke the kid. It's like, stop. But how many of us are doing that to ourselves? How about just being consistent with just for the sake of being consistent? I go to the gym because I'm a woman that wants to care for her body. I go to the gym because I'm a woman who wants to have an active lifestyle. Now, do I have goals? Sometimes I do when I'm going to the gym, and sometimes I don't. And guess what? When I go to the gym, it's not always my personal best. Now, I'm not an athlete. I wouldn't classify myself as an athlete. I'm just someone who likes to take care of their health. And that to me is good enough. It gets me into the door. It gets me lifting the weights. It gets me on using the equipment. It gets me in the game. And it makes me consistent in the game for consistency's sake, because that's the identity I want. So some people psych themselves out. Some people don't use Jedi mind tricks. They use mind crushers. They use thoughts that debilitate them and hold them back and keep them paralyzed. And I don't know if I can do a whole 50-minute workout. Gosh, when I did it 2 days ago, I couldn't get up off the chair and right? And so they're not managing their mind. I will tell you, when you stay with a habit, it's a lot of mindset work. A lot of people will think, oh, it's just taking the action. Yeah, but what precedes that action? Your mind. And if you're not doing the mindset work, the action feels almost impossible. It's like not even on the table. How many times you tell yourself, I just don't feel like it. I just don't have the time to do that today. Is that really true? Maybe you don't feel like it, but do you have to feel like it? Do you really have to feel like it? Right? So just look at how the mind can steer us in a way we don't want to be. And so I really love teaching the mindset work, the Jedi mindset things that are going to make you and help you stay consistent so that you can embrace the identity and be the woman that you want to be. So stay consistent, even if it's just for consistency's sake. How much more proud would you be of yourself if I were like, yeah, I'm consistently working at this. This feels good. I want to be working at this. This is important to me. It's like saying, I don't want to work on my parenting skills, or I don't want to work on my relationship skills, or I don't want to get better at parenting, or I don't want to get better at communicating with my husband. Like, I'm just going to not work on that at all and just be who I am now. And maybe that starts to deteriorate and I don't care. No, if you care about something, you're going to want to work on it. And I think that's a beautiful thing because it shows you what you value, what you treasure. And what you treasure, you spend time on. What you treasure, you spend your talents on. And if you don't have the talents and the skills, you learn the talents and the skills. This is why people go to counseling. This is why people go to couples therapy. This is why people get personal trainers, right? It's like, hey, they want to invest in the things that matter to them. These people help them make it a priority as well as keep it consistent, consistently making it a priority in their life, or an important factor in their life. And so being consistent for the sake of being consistent could be a total game changer for you. So take that nugget away if that feels that's going to benefit you. All right. So that's step 2. Step 3, you got to embrace the trade-offs. If you want something you currently don't have, you want something that you currently aren't doing, the process to get what you want, there are going to be trade-offs. Yes, you might have to wake up earlier. Yes, you might have to say, I'm not drinking tonight. Yes, you might have to be inconvenienced temporarily until you can fit this into your routine. So there are trade-offs. There's always trade-offs in life. If you have kids, you know there's a sacrifice, there's a trade-off. If you get married, there's a sacrifice, there's a trade-off. Is it one that you want? For me, that's a hell yes. Absolutely hell yes. Then, currently, now, right? Love that. Going all in? Absolutely. I wouldn't want to do it any other way. I want to go all in on my child. I want to go all in on my marriage. I want to go all in on my health. I wouldn't want my life to be reflective any other way. I wouldn't. And it's my life. And there are my choices. And I get to choose that. But does that come with trade-offs? Absolutely. Everything comes with trade-offs. And that's how life works. So I'm embracing the reality of that. Those are my choices, but I'm so thankful and so proud of those choices. So if you're on one path, my friend, in life, it just means other paths aren't available to you. And I'm okay with that, right? I love that. I love the path I chose. I want to continue to embrace those paths that light me up, those paths that bring my soul ignited with fire. That is so powerful. When you're just like, yes, I'm on my path. I know this is my path. I want to be married to my husband. I love my daughter, right? Like all of that and owning that. And when I acknowledge that and I proclaim that to you, guess what? My belly is on fire right now. I'm like, yes, I love that about my life. And it gets me moving in other directions and other paths in my life. Yeah, I want to be around if I become a grandmother. Maybe I will, maybe I won't, but I want to be around for that. I want to be active for that. I want to be doing things for that. I don't want to be old, washed up, can't ambulate, right? No, I don't want that. And I'm proclaiming it and taking action for it. So there will be trade-offs. So maybe some trade-offs are be like, you have to not just ignore the trade-off. I say embrace the trade-off. So step number 3, embrace the trade-off. Maybe you have to embrace that it's inconvenient at first. Maybe it's inconvenient to wake up a half hour early to fit in some resistance training there at home. Maybe you exercise in your pajamas, right? You don't even have to take the extra time it takes if you're not leaving your house, and you could just do some of it at home to get started. And maybe that's inconvenient for a little bit until it becomes convenient, until it becomes part of your routine, until your body wakes up and says, oh, wow, instead of just lounging around, we're actually lifting some weights right now. So maybe it has to be inconvenient at first, and that's okay. Embrace the inconvenience. Maybe you have to embrace that it's just strange at first. Maybe it just feels strange not to be in exercise clothes and lifting weights, right? It felt strange when I was doing it between coaching calls and I'm dressed in whatever I'm dressed in, professional clothing-ish, casual, right? And it's like, oh, I usually am used to being in exercise clothes to exercise. But you know what? I'm just doing an exercise snack. So, hey, I can be dressed differently with my hair done and jewelry on, right? Like it doesn't have to look the same way. So I had to embrace that it felt strange at first. And that's okay. Maybe you're doing new routines at the gym or trying a new class or embracing something new. It might feel strange at first. Some people call that discomfort. Some people call that awkwardness. Some people call it just strange. Embrace it. It's fine. You're going to live. There's no fear, right? It just feels weird. It feels different. It's okay. Embrace it. Maybe you have to embrace that life will need to look a little differently and feel a little differently until you find your groove, right? If you're not used to working out and you go to work out, or you're not used to drinking less and you go to drinking less, it might feel odd at first. Might feel a little strange. Might have to embrace life a little differently in order for it to be a new groove in your brain, a new groove in your life, a new pattern that you're doing. You have to embrace it. Because if you fight it, what are you doing? You're just creating cognitive dissonance. You're just saying, I want this and that and that. And you can't have all the paths, my friends. You have to embrace a path and keep choosing towards that goal, towards that path, and stay on the path. Maybe you just have to embrace the suck. I've heard this and I'm like, yep, sometimes you just have to embrace the suck until it becomes joyful, right? Maybe you got to be awkward for a little bit till you get smooth at it, right? I even told myself starting the podcast, yep, if I'm not good at it, I'm just going to embrace the suck. I'm just going to try it, see how it goes. Am I the most articulate person when I listen to other podcasts? I don't think so. I think, wow, they use such beautiful language to explain that. My brain would have never thought that. But I'm not about being the best. I'm just about putting myself out there and what I think women want to hear and need to hear, and encouraging them if this is a path that they want to be on. If it's not a path that you want to be on, guess what? You'll stop listening to the podcast and you'll find a different path. And that's beautiful because there's always a path. And you have to embrace the trade-off when you follow a path. When I follow health podcasts, that means I'm not listening to murder mystery podcasts. They don't even interest me. That's not my path. That's okay. That's somebody else's path. But it means there's a trade-off, right? I don't have unlimited time. I have a finite period of time. And so I want to spend that doing the things that light me up and take me to where I want to go in terms of my goals. And that means I will have to embrace trade-offs. And that's amazing because my brain would be overwhelmed with too many options. So I love that it just prunes away those other things that I'm just not for that. And that's not me. And that's okay. So maybe in embracing the trade-offs, maybe you're a woman that you have to learn to stand up for yourself. Stand up for yourself. Gosh darn it. Go out there. Get it. Stop wishing. Stop waiting. Start doing. Start achieving. Start moving. Just start. You want a rockin' body? Go get it. I'm all for it. I love it. You want a tight and toned butt? Hey, that's my goal right now. I'm sharing with the ladies in Tone and 10, my buns of steel. They're coming, baby. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I want to own it. Absolutely. And it comes with embracing trade-offs. You want to get off many of your medications or all of your medications? Great. Find ways that you can implement lifestyle medicine so that you don't need pharmaceutical medicine. And for many conditions, we now know how to do that. It's wonderful. Maybe you can, maybe you can't, but you'll never know unless you try. And you want to weigh less, you want to take off some weight, you want to reduce some fat. Excellent. Go after it. You can achieve it for sure. I love it. Make it a goal. I don't care what your goal is, but when you get fired up for your goal and when you start to say, yes, I'm going to take action, I'm going to start. And then you think, yes, I want to be consistent, even if it's just for consistency's sake. And that means I'm going to have to embrace some trade-offs. Now you know the path to build a healthy habit. Isn't that exciting? It's so simple. What I love about this process is it's so simple. Don't make it more complicated. Don't make it more confusing. Don't spin out on excuses, right? So start, keep going, embrace the trade-off. Keep it simple, my friend. Otherwise, the mind drama will come in. And you got to be a mind Jedi, right? The mindset work is so key. And when I ask women, oftentimes when I'm doing one-off coaching calls, here's what I see. I'll see women not going after their important health and wellness goals, not because they think it's selfish. I say, do you think it's selfish to take care of yourself? No, absolutely not. I think everybody needs to embrace healthy eating and all these lifestyle things. It's not selfish. But sometimes what I uncover for them is repressed anger, repressed emotions. And it's in their subconscious mind that they don't even know it's there until we start going deeper down the questions. And they're like, oh, wow, yeah, I feel undeserving, or I'm mad, or I'm angry, or I'm frustrated. That comes up, right? Frustration is a type and form of anger. And the subconscious mind is terrified of the anger, terrified of feeling that frustration or that rage, so we suppress it. And we might not even know it's there because over the course of time, over the course of our lives, we've gotten so good at suppressing it that we're like not comfortable with feeling it. So we just keep it suppressed, and subconsciously, we may not even recognize it's there. And that leads to us not taking action. That leads to us feeling stuck. Because most anger, my friends, is due to blocked goals. Let me say that one more time. Most anger is due to blocked goals. Most frustration, blocked goals. Many of us struggle with that. And so we got to really release the anger, really release the emotion, and become unblocked so that you can start moving towards the life that you want, the goals that you want, and taking that committed action that you want. Because you ultimately, just want to remind you, you ultimately have freedom to do this. Whether you do it on your own, whether you need somebody to walk you through the process, I want to remind you that you have the freedom to do this. You have the freedom to go after the goal you want and proclaim it and own it and start living as that version of you. Don't wait, my friend. Keep your mind focused. Keep it clean. I call it a clean mind. I want a clean mind. I don't want these dirty thoughts coming in. I want to get Windex in there and wipe down my brain. It's like, no. I don't have time for you off-track thoughts, those thoughts that steer me away from my goals. I'm going to crystal clean, which means I am focused. I am laser focused on what I want. And when your mind is focused on what it wants, guess where your energy flows? Exactly the same direction. It flows to what you want. It flows to that toned butt. It flows to losing weight. It flows to whatever goal it is that you want. But you have to keep a clean mind, and it has to stay focused, because that is the secret to success when you follow these 3 steps and implement these ways. Focused mind gets focused results. And so many of us are distracted. We're distracted with what's going on over there, what's going on in the news, what's going on over in my husband's world, in my kids' world, right? There's just a lot coming at us, a lot. And it's really getting with your mind and say, okay, there's a lot out there in the world. There's a lot I can't control. We talked about that last week. We can't control things. And when we can't control things, we oftentimes spin out. What can I control? I can control my mind. I can control my focus. I can control a lot of my health. And that's what I'm going to focus my mind on, because that's what I want to get results. So those are the 3 ways to develop a healthy habit, my friend. I hope you found this podcast helpful. And if you have, please share it with a friend. And if you want, please come join us inside of my private Facebook group. You can ask questions in there and learn a little bit more about this podcast. And with that, I will see you next week.